Welcome to the final presentation of my bachelor thesis Samsara at the Institute for Foundations of Modern Architecture and Design at the University of Stuttgart. In the next few minutes, I would like to invite you on a journey, which will explain the process of my creation as well as my final design results in more detail. In my self-imposed task, the design of a new interpretation of the funeral hall typology, I deal with how the death of a loved one could be dealt with in our society in the future, and what this means in terms of architectural requirements. The main focus lies on a curatorial practice in the age of a changing understanding of mortality. In the search for a suitable location, I very quickly came upon the mountain Eckbauer in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. Suited in the foothills of the Alps, it offers a beautiful and calming view of the Karwendel Mountains, while at the same time being easy to reach by car and public transport. In addition, it has a cable car which also provides elderly visitors a comfortable access to the funeral hall. The process of arriving by cable car should not only generate a comfortable change of place, but also represents a ritual of arrival. After choosing a rough area, I modeled a southern hillside and proceeded to numerous working models to achieve the optimal location of my design. Then I translated these first studies into a digital model to include external factors such as roots, free buildable areas, and sunlight incidence. As a result, I decided on a smaller area in the upper part of the mountain, which is easily accessible from the cable car, as well as conveniently accessible by car for logistics. It also has a beautiful view and a pleasant elevation profile. So if we now reduce our viewport, we see very well the trisection of the height development, with a flat area in the southern part of the property, which develops into a steep slope, and another flatter piece at the top of the slope. Soon after, I had the idea to use this height development for my architecture, in which only parts of the building are seen from the direction of access, thus creating a tension between nature and building through a reduced gesture. This seems to partly magically draw the visitor into the building. The functional spaces are hidden from a first glance, so that outsiders do not know directly what to expect. They represent a circle of life that is placed vertically in the slope. As a result, I decided to make the lower part of the building more in line with the topography. However, each life path does not represent a perfect circle, but leads over corners and edges to each life goal. Therefore, and to meet the requirement to develop individual rooms, I decided to evolve the original circle into a circular arrangement of square cubes. The previously perfect circle thus changes into an imperfect composition of individual spaces. Using Grasshopper, it soon became obvious that especially the play with different cube sizes and a more complex arrangement represent a significant gain for both interior and exterior appearance. With the help of the lessons learned, the final form was created, which is strengthened by the interplay of the different spaces, which have both an independence and yet a connection. Going forward, I checked in a working model other possibilities to form roof shapes, but in the end I decided to keep the aesthetics of the simple interlocking cubes. Therefore, I continued to work with a green flat roof, which further reduces the visibility of the functional spaces, which aesthetically merge with the slope when viewed from above. In the process of developing functional spaces, I was particularly concerned with the subsequent space program, whereby the resulting architectural form developed very strongly from the inner program and is based only to a limited extent on an external influence. Quickly the goal emerged to create an architecture in which every visitor of a funeral service is not forced to follow the same rhythm in a large room, but rather a farewell that is created by walking through a sequence of rooms. Each person can decide at his own pace in which way he wants to organize his farewell process. Moreover, the rooms do not involve pure grieving over the death of a deceased person, but try to honor in a celebration the life, the time spent together, as well as the achievements of a precious human life. In the kind of exhibition process, different points of the life of the deceased person are exhibited and united with the usual ritual content of any funeral service. The funeral hall serves not only as a room for funeral ceremonies of the six largest world religions, but is also suitable for atheistic funeral ceremonies. Due to the flexibility of the rooms, a different culture or religion can take place by making small changes to the interior. The floor plan beautifully depicts the sequence of different functions of the program, which largely determines the shape of the building and the arrangement of the cubes. At the beginning, the visitor descends a small staircase between two rising walls and thus enters an empty space, which is designed very simple for first arrival and getting used to the place. Wheelchair users can also reach the foyer by using the platform located in front of the stairs, which is an inclined elevator. From the foyer, the use of natural light as well as the placement of the ramp system guides the visitor to the room on the right. There displayed are the steps in the life of the deceased. In the small lecture room that follows, the visitor can listen to speeches and get cinematic glimpses of emotional stories and experiences. From this room, the visitor enters a room for personal conversations. This is followed by a room for quiet reflection before visitors enter a bright, light-filled room where the corpse is on display. The exhibition of the death is not meant to be presented at the end of life, but rather as a part of a transfer to, for example, another form of existence. For this reason, this room is not at the end, but in the middle of the circle of life. After the emotional farewell to the deceased, there are two rooms for religious services, as well as spiritual farewells and rituals. In order to recover from this emotional effort, a room of outlook and reflection follows. There you can process what you have experienced. Passing through a final small exhibition, the visitor enters a large winding room. This offers retreat possibilities as well as place for the coming together of all visitors and condolence expressions. Finally, the visitor reaches a room of silence. From this space, the visitor re-enters the foyer, where he climbs the stairs and completes the farewell process. Through the openings to the outside space and the inner courtyard, as well as the closure for increased introversion, the design of the rooms is intended to support their functions as well as their requirements. This is particularly evident in the displayed axonometry. The sequence of introverted rooms open to the outside and open to the inner courtyard resembles to the beat of a piece of music, and is thus intended to provide a certain regularity and security in such a daring and irregular time. In addition, the room heights vary in order to respond to different requirements and emotional differences, which becomes very clear in a section from west to east. In a section from north to south, the adaptation of each room to the elevation profile is shown. The rear spaces accommodate the earth masses, allowing for a lower topographic slope in the interior. The rooms close to the ground have a 15 cm thick WU concrete shell oriented towards the outside, which forms a wide tub, and together with drainage, bitumen and dimpled sheets protects the interior rooms from moisture. A 13 cm thick rammed earth wall with 2 cm of lost formwork is installed in the interior, increasing to 30 cm of rammed earth wall from a splash guard height of 15 cm above the external soil. A second detail shows that a 120 mm high eye section made of galvanized steel are installed above the door and window lintels. The floor structure is finished with a top layer of designer screed, which supports the raw look of the interior. The ceilings are kept very simple, similar to a museum, with a 20 cm thick reinforced concrete slab on the underside with daub plaster kept simple in white cube aesthetics. On the upper side there's an ordinary flat roof structure with greenery and parapet plates in the same materiality as the window frame profiles and railings. Here you can see the gradation of the individual concrete slides along the elevation profile, as well as the interior rammed earth attachment, which increases in size in the earth-free space. I also tried different mixing ratios for the composition of the rammed earth walls, with admixture of straw, coconut fibers or sand, until in the end I obtained an optimal mixing ratio with 40% gravel and sand, 30% water, 20% clay and 10% straw. Every 30 cm an additional thicker layer of gravel is tamped into act as a speed brake for rain and water running down, slowing the steady erosion of the clay. Here a few atmospheric insights of the result.
When tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not there to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes all filled with tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today, while thinking of the many things we didn't get to say. I know how much you love me, as much as I love you. And each time that you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. But when tomorrow starts without me, please try to understand that an angel came and called my name and took me by the hand. But as I turned to walk away, a tear fell from my eye. For all my life I'd always thought I didn't want to die. I had so much to live for, so much left yet to do. It seemed almost impossible that I was leaving you. But then I fully realized that this could never be, for emptiness and memories would take the place of me. So when tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart, for every time you think of me, I'm right here in your heart.